Here's a quick update on a random collection of conifers that are planted in an area where I lost some conifers before. Here we have thujopsis dolabrata, which is, I guess, in its own genus, thujopsis. I think there's only one species within that genus, which is the dolabrata here. And the common name is, I believe, Elkhorn Cedar. The Japanese name is Hiba Cedar, so that's what you would normally see it named as, maybe if you search for it. And I got these from keepingitgreennursery.com in Washington State. The interesting thing about them is the underside of the foliage has really cool white marks on the underside of the leaves there. And it looks like this winter they may have suffered a little bit of frost damage at the tips in some places. And this is a mostly sun, but I guess maybe partial sun location, which the thujopsis dolabrata should be fine with partial sun. Here's a look at the tip of it. Doesn't seem to be damaged really. I'm kind of planting it in the same location where I would plant a thuya, because they're, I guess, somewhat closely related. But I don't have much experience with this tree. We'll see how it does. Okay, this is a spruce pine. That's the name of it, spruce pine. Pinus glabra. Normally found growing in southern Alabama, southern Georgia, northern Florida. But it's actually cold tolerant all the way up to Tennessee. And since it's a native pine, we don't have to worry about it being destroyed by a lot of the fungus around here that would destroy European or Asian pines. Looks like it's starting to put on new growth at the tip already. Here we are at the very beginning of April. It's already got that much growth, so I'm expecting big things from it because it seems to be pretty aggressive in growing. It's in a partial shade location because this pine is known for being able to tolerate more shade than most other pines. So I'm counting on its ability to do that based on where it's located. Pretty rare. I only found one source for it online, and that was, what's the name of that place? Online, it's called Mail Order Natives. That's the name of it. They may actually be out now, but very rare online, impossible to find at local nurseries unless you just get lucky, really lucky, and you're maybe somewhere in Florida. But I bought 3 of them. One of them's not doing well. The other 2, like this one here, are doing really well. Here's my Korean fir, abies koreana. And the only negative thing about this one, it is a grafted branch, so for some reason this bud never sprouted last year. But you can see that this one, which I'm hoping will become the new leader, is covered in buds. And I think with a little training and help I can get it to grow straighter and become the new leader. This is the horstman's silberlocke cultivar of Korean fir, so that's why the needles are bent back, showing the white underside of the needle. Gives it a pretty cool appearance. Obviously the growth pattern is not ideal on this particular specimen, but it's still pretty small, so there's time to correct that. I think I might have shown this one before. This is a Virginia pine, Pinus virginiana, also a Tennessee native, even native to this area around Nashville. And they're surprisingly hard to find online. I think I actually got this from someone who had a listing on Etsy. And they're not the fastest growing pine, relatively slow, but this one is already putting on new growth, as you can see. And here we are at the beginning of April, so far so good. This pine would probably be the pine out of all the pines you could possibly plant in Tennessee, or maybe even all of the Southeast, that could withstand the worst soil conditions. Maybe the driest spot. It does prefer full sun. This is not necessarily full sun, all day sun, but there's a lot of sun where I have it planted. But it could withstand pretty bad conditions and still survive. Obviously it wouldn't grow that fast if the conditions were really bad, but I'm hoping it'll grow relatively fast considering the good soil where it's planted. Here's a look at one of the Chinese firs that I have, cunninghamia lanceolata. I show this tree a lot, well, the other ones I have. This is the blue glauca variety, and this one has a less than ideal branching structure because one year the main leader was frozen back and killed by an early frost. So now I'm trying to stake up with this piece of cane here and create a new leader. It's just starting to break bud, and hopefully since we're into April we will not have a hard freeze that will damage the growth this year. The other thing I just noticed about this one is because I had this point here where all the growth kind of exploded from the destroyed bud one year, is because it did grow back and put on a lot of growth that year after all, even after being frozen back. During the heavy snows we had, it looks like one of these branches was weighted down and broken off. So I'm going to have to trim that back. This one here is going to have to go away, which is fine because I want to put all the energy into this one new main leader that I'm trying to establish. Here's the Japanese Plum Yew that I got from wilsonbrothersgardens.com, and just want to say again how really great that online nursery is in terms of selection and also shipping practices, and the quality of what they send is really good too. So shameless plug for Wilson Brothers. They didn't obviously pay me anything to say that, that's just my experience. But I got this cephalotaxus harringtonia from them. It needed to be staked up a little bit here because it was slightly growing in the wrong direction. I'm just keeping it straight while it's young so I don't have a bigger problem later on. And you can see it's starting to put out some kind of growth. Don't really know, could be flowers or fruits. This plum yew does produce a quote-unquote plum, which actually I read was even edible. I would never eat anything from a yew tree, but apparently in Japan they might do that. So it hasn't started growth at the main leader yet, which is good because I want it to wait. But looking at the past grow patterns, I might be able to expect as much as 6 inches or more of vertical growth this year. So hoping for the best. This is in a more shady location behind some other trees. And yeah, I'm excited for this one. I've said in the past how much I like the appearance of the foliage, how prehistoric it looks. And the branching structure is also very geometrical, which is always great for a conifer.